Welcome back to the Notary Podcast hosted by me, Daniel C. Lewis. And this week, like I promised last week, we have a very special guest. You're not going to believe this. We have the one, the only, Nicola Jackson from the National Notary Association. So buckle up. Here we go. Cue the music. Welcome back to the Notary Podcast hosted by me, Daniel C. Lewis. And if you like the podcast, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We love doing this each and every week for you. And like I said last week, this week we have a very, very special guest. In fact, I said this before. When I started this podcast, I had a bucket list of people that I wanted on this podcast. And right at the tippy top of that bucket list was this special guest, Nicola Jackson from the National Notary Association. Nicola Jackson's been with the National Notary Association for several years. She's been managing, she managed notary education. She's a senior manager of training and education. She was a director of training and education. And now, what is your title now, Nicola?
Your favorite NNA employee.
My favorite NNA employee. So I'm going to welcome my favorite NNA employee, Nicola Jackson. And let's just get right into it and start chopping this up. Okay. How long have you been a notary?
So I started at the NNA a long time ago. And so once I became a seminar instructor, it was a requirement of my job. So as not to date myself, let's just say a really long time.
Well, I know your story is so fantastic to me because you actually started as a receptionist, right? Correct?
I did indeed. I got a receptionist job sitting at the front desk, got caught reading a book. By somebody in the notary world who's still here but works at a state office, and they were like, "Oh, you like to read?" Put a stack of notary books on my desk, and I was like, "Get me out of here!" How dare they? And as I was looking through the newspaper for a new job, and I'm dating myself, so that's how long ago it was. There was a ad for public speaker to teach seminars. And I was like, yes, that's for me. Sign me up. And I looked at the fax number to fax my resume. Oh my God, I'm telling right now. And the phone number was the fax number at the National Notary Association. So I literally called upstairs to HR and was like, may I please have this job? And so I ended up having to become a notary and learn all the notary stuff anyway. But it changed the trajectory of my life, just, making sure I had my receptionist job.
Well, so you were actually about to fax yourself your resume.
Pretty much.
So as an instructor, what type of challenges have you faced as a notary instructor? Because you not only are a notary instructor for California, but you are a notary instructor all across the United States. So what challenges have you faced as a notary instructor?
I got stuck in a hurricane in Florida. We were in a windstorm in Missouri. We saw what do you call those things? I'm such a California girl.
Tornado.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm never going to live that down. Those things, this thing. Listen, it's late in the day. It's been a long week. And words are hard right now. Those cyclical things that spin with a lot of wind. I saw what looked like a tornado in the distance. It was a time where a lot of people wanted to be notaries. So we would have more people show up than we had workbooks, and we would be photocopying them on the side, trying to get photocopies of the workbooks. the regular, like it was the first time I drove in snow. I had flown to Pennsylvania to
Wow.
do a seminar, and it was snowing in Pittsburgh when I arrived, and I had this little tiny rental car trying to drive in snow. I've never been honked at more in my life. I got to go to Hawaii and look at the beach while I taught a notary seminar. That was pretty depressing. Let's see. I'm trying to think where else. I went to Missouri, Pennsylvania, and Florida a lot. I went to New York, New Jersey, where you cannot pump your own gas. I got yelled at for doing that when I was trying to so those kinds of things. So I was very fortunate to get to teach notary law in 17 different states across the country. And then as technology evolved and online learning really became more prominent, and we had technology like we're talking about right now, the need for live training as far as traveling from place to place kind of diminished. And my focus was I want to be home more. So I started, climbing up the ladder more at the NNA and focusing on California because the requirements there are a lot stricter, and there's a required training and an exam. And we do live seminars. The NNA does live seminars in California. So that's the department. One of the departments that I run now is that seminar group.
Well, what do you believe is the most important quality for notaries, since you've taught thousands of notaries all across the country? What do you think is the most important qualities notaries should uphold?
The first one is saying no.
Mm-hmm.
And really understanding that the role of a notary starts with public service. The whole point of a notary is to be a public servant, and be that official third-party witness for all these important transactions that happen in life. So the idea is you're protecting the public, so to make sure you're doing the things that you are supposed to do when you're performing each notarial act, depending on what it is, and learning what those things are and taking that part very seriously. Because I feel like in some of the later eras that have happened, it's been like I don't want to call it a money grab, because I truly believe people are doing it because they want to, make a better life for themselves and have that business, but not really focusing on the notary part and learning all the parts of the law and what they are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, and letting other people dictate what that is. So that goes back to point number one, which is, and then saying no when they ask you to do it. So it's hard to say no, especially when that person is supposed to be paying you and you want to have that job and that good relationship. But it's just not worth what's on the other end if something goes wrong.
You're right. How would you navigate ethical challenges in notarial work? A lot of people run into that type of situation. What advice would you give notaries if they had an ethical dilemma?
I honestly, I think it's about transparency and, good communication skills. So I've spent a lot of time, reading different books about assertive communication. But for people who know me, assertiveness is not really my issue, but it's more about how to deliver that message, right? Say it with authority, but also being solution oriented. So when you are presenting to someone what you're not allowed to do, telling them what you can do. And I think that's where people really miss the mark, is just go, well, I can't do it. And when you're in a service industry, you really want to put it on a platter of, you know what, this thing that you're asking me to do and go ahead and just notarize this without them being here, I can't. But what I can do is I will go meet them and do X and Y and Z and present a solution so that you're still solving the problem and still following your rules. And I think that that's how an approach that a lot of people don't give the thought process to, and assuming it as it's your problem, how you're going to solve it.
Yeah, you are a part of you're running the hotline, correct? Still.
Yeah, so I oversee the team that runs the hotline, yes.
And that's the National Notary Association hotline, where notaries around the country can call in and ask questions. What are some of the common questions asked of the hotline?
Can I notarize this? That's usually what it is. And that's the interesting part, right? I have this document. Can I notarize it? Well, you can pretty much notarize every document. Obviously, in some states, there are certain documents that are prohibited from being notarized, but they're few and far between. And the notary that's done their diligence will know what those are. But any document that's presented to a notary for notarization can be notarized. And if there's no notary wording on it, then you ask the $1 million question, what kind of notarization do you want? And you get the $1 answer, I don't know. You're a notary, that's why I brought it to you. So just going through that process. And then we get a lot of questions about IDs, because they want to make sure they're properly identifying somebody, the names, how they appear on the document and the ID and the discrepancy with those. A lot of, hey, I just did this thing. Was I allowed to do it? And to that, I say, please call before you do whatever thing you're not sure that you're supposed to do, so that you can get confirmation of, yes, you can do it, or no, you can't, rather than that awful feeling of calling and us going, well, in your state, you're not allowed to do that. And then having that conversation, it's call before.
And I got to ask a question, because I get that question a lot. Those two questions that you mentioned, can I notarize this, and what IDs should I have? Do you think we get those questions because people are not, before they get their notary stamp, are not educating themselves with their local and state laws? Because it's usually those two questions are right in the handbook, their local state handbook. Why do you think we get those questions so much and they're not checking their handbooks or getting educated in their handbooks?
I don't even know if it's a case of not being educated, because in the defense of some of the notaries, not every state clearly outlines what you can and can't take. Sometimes it's government issued and it has to have this and this. And so people aren't sure what agency issues certain IDs, and it's just a lack of understanding. But here's what I'll also say. Because it's a situation where the customer is sitting in front of you, Daniel, and the ID that they presented is not the regular driver's license. It's not a passport. It's something ambiguous. And that person is sitting here telling you this really important story about why they don't have ID. And you're a human and they're a human, and you feel bad for them and you want to help them, because most of the notaries that we meet are people. Like, they're very people oriented. They want to help. That's why they became a notary. So they are sympathetic to the plight that this person needs to be identified, and they want to make it happen. So then they start asking questions that they know they can't use this ID, but is there, like, they're calling someone like, I want to help this person get me out of this pickle. And they're hoping that, like, something's going to happen where miraculously the person on the phone is going to go, sure, go ahead and use it.
Yes.
But that doesn't happen. So
they want to say, the hotline told me I could use that. Yeah. To get them out of the liability. I see how that can work. What are your thoughts on remote online notarization?
I think that it was a really great thing that we had during COVID when we needed to stay apart. And, I know for like military personnel that need to get stuff notarized when they're outside the country, it's great for them. So everything has its time and its place. And I think that if people diligently follow the laws to the letter for remote online notarization, it could be a really good thing. That's what I'll leave it there.
Okay. I get that. You also have, I've seen you do this outstanding presentation, and I don't see it enough, of your with the National Notary Association and the membership rewards and perks for being a member of the National Notary Association, not just for the background screenings, but can you talk a little bit more about membership perks with being with the National Notary Association?
Absolutely. And I think the biggest one is probably, access to the hotline. So it is a member benefit. And, the hotline's open 6 days a week. And depending on where you are in the country, it can be as early as 5 a.m. And open as late as 8 a.m. But the good news is, conversely, is that if you're on the East Coast, the hotline isn't going to shut till almost 9 p.m. It closes 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So 6 days a week, almost the entire day, there's somebody available to answer questions for you. When new laws go into effect, you'll get the update of what it is and how it breaks down. The bulletin that comes out weekly with different articles. And then behind the member wall, which I think one of the things that people don't realize is you can actually log in on the website and get to a whole special area to update your NNA profile, all your addresses, phone numbers, emails. And then there's stuff back there, like if you ever take training, that's where the training is, that you can download that's included with your membership, like a lot of the books that we publish, notary certificate forms for all 50 states. You can download the badge that says you're a NNA member to put on your website and business cards. And then there's a lot of discounts that we offer to members that aren't necessarily public, you may not know about. So I would definitely say make sure that you go to the My NNA section of the website to download certificates and have those handy. So you don't have to buy the pad of 100, depending on how often you need them. And then every month we have a new member exclusive benefit discount.
Wow.
You should check every month what it is. Discounts on car rental, discounts on hotels, discounts on insurance. And then there's a whole section called Abemnity.
Yes.
Abemnity with retail discounts. So once you go there and you log in, you literally can get like gym membership discounts, food discounts, just like stuff you're using every day anyway, that you may not even realize was there. Discounts on computers, the Staples Business Advantage, which is good for toner and paper. If you're getting started, email marketing services, they'll do it for you. And also you can work with a company that takes electronic payments. So like if you want to take an Apple swipe, stuff like that, they'll help you set that up. So that's all part of doing that. But most people don't even know and haven't logged into that section. So if you haven't ever done it, make sure that you go in and do that. It's up in the right-hand corner of the website. And then once you're in, there's a whole section with different places that you can update your information and then take advantage of those benefits.
I can attest that I just recently took a trip to California and I used the benefits for a hotel and car and all that. And when I got to my hotel, they said, "Wow, how did you get this discount?" They couldn't believe I had such a great discount. So I can attest that is benefits that people don't really use or don't know that they're there. They're just great benefits.
How was that trip to California?
Huh?
How was that trip to California? You know,
it was very good.
Your friends in California? Yeah. Okay.
I have to tell you that story of why I went. You'll be
I'll stop being salty.
Shocked by the reason why I went, but it was a great trip. What advice would you give new notaries looking to establish themselves in this industry?
Just go out there and do the work. Stop waiting until you feel comfortable. Stop waiting until you think that you need to know a certain amount. Stop waiting. Stop waiting. Just go do it. Go make the mistakes. Apologize for them. Bounce back from them. Ask for help if you're not sure what to do. Utilize the resources that you have, because in a lot of places, becoming a notary, is an investment. So make sure that you're doing that. But just it at its most basic level, every notarization happens the exact same way. It doesn't matter what the document is. And somehow we get it in us that there's like this intimidation about documents.
Yes.
And all we care about is that little notary block and certifying what it says, and just do it.
Do you think people should have a specific skill set or habits that will contribute to their success as a notary?
Definitely being detail oriented. And I know a lot of people say that they are, but you can tell very quickly if people catch details.
Yes.
And I say that in terms of also being a good instruction follower, because a lot of instructions get given and not in very clear and decisive ways. So you have to pay attention to everything that's happening to see what clues are, they're clues, because sometimes it's not instructions, like what clues you're getting of how you should perform without getting directly told so. And sometimes you got to read minds a little bit, and it's all just part of it. And apologizing when you make a mistake and fixing it.
Yes, yes. In fact, several times I get asked, "Hey, can you mentor me? I want to learn how to do this business." And I take, of course, I take the business very seriously because this is how I pay my mortgage, car, vacations, and all that, retirement.
Right.
And then I say, "Yeah, I'll mentor you. Let's set up a time and appointment." And then the person at the time of the appointment will send me a text. "Oh, I'm running 15 minutes late. I'm running 20 minutes late." And I'm thinking, you can't run a service business like that. You can't just think I'll just show up 15, 20 minutes late. We just had a realtor at one of our meetups said, when I have notaries, we immediately take them, put them on a do not call list if they're in the very first appointment running 15 minutes late or 30 minutes late and having our client wait. So that's another thing that people don't understand about this business. It's service. You can't be running late on that. Where do you think this industry is going to be in 5 to 10 years?
I mean, I think it's going to be thriving, and let me tell you why. Because the level of fraud, because of like the better the technology gets, the more potential for fraud there is.
Yeah.
And one thing I know for certain, and as you know, you come to the NNA conferences, and Tom Hyman's been saying this for a couple of years now, that notaries are more important than ever. Yep. So while everybody thinks that the remote online notarization is going to replace notaries, one thing I can tell you for certain is that the human mind and the decision making that the human mind is capable of is the reason why notaries are never going to be out of business, because humans have this extra level to detect stuff in other humans that the technology does not have. So maybe the role will change, but the function is always going to be there of us being part of this transaction to keep fraud out of the equation. But definitely some pivots are coming, in how we do things. But fundamentally, don't forget the infrastructure of all of the county recorders' offices are not set up for this digital era.
Yes.
And so until the infrastructure catches up, the paper notary is here to stay. And I can tell you, having been at the NNA as long as I have, that the entire time I've been here, it's, next, we're going to be doing everything digitally in the next 4 years. And I've probably said that statement 1,000 times over the course of a long time, and we're still going strong on that paper. So
yeah, if there is one thing that you could change in the notary industry, what would it be?
I'm going to say expectations. The notary industry is no different than any other in that if you're coming into it, you have to have realistic expectations of the level of work you're going to have to do. And, when you hear the buzz of everyone talking about know your worth and I don't leave the house for this much, and that's all well and good for them, but you don't know like the level of service they're providing, the things that they're doing for that, how long they've been doing it to get to that point to have the privilege of saying that. So I think that there's a lot of people that came into the industry and got successful really fast, and they have like this level of, I don't want to say entitlement, but I'm going to say entitlement. And now their expectations, where the market's slowing down a little bit, are unrealistic. And I think that there's going to have to be a little more expectations managed for the future, because I've been around where everybody was booming and then everyone went to nothing, and slowly but surely it's come back around, and we had that big boom in 2020. things are slowing down again. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know that this industry is very cyclical. And so anybody who comes in and thinks that they're just going to like become a notary and suddenly have all this business, unless your friend was like, become a notary and I'll send you so much business, because there are those people that get it like that, and bless them when they do, because they literally get it and they get handed work. But not everybody's that fortunate. So listening to everyone's stories, you may have to work harder than the person that you heard about this from. And you may be frustrated, but, don't give up, but also take everything with a grain of salt and do what's best for you.
That is such a great answer, because that's what I get people all the time saying, I just got somebody today. I'm going into this business. I'm ready to make my first $1 million in my first month or whatever. The expectations there, setting the right. That's such a brilliant answer. Awesome. Let me ask you this. If you weren't a notary, what profession could you see yourself in?
I think about that all the time, because I've been doing this so long, and every now and then I'll ask myself, like, if you could be doing anything in the world, what would you be doing? Like, different than what you're doing right now? And I don't really have an answer, because I don't think professional baseball game watcher is a job.
Unless you're a sports writer.
But even then I have to, like, it's not something that I'm good at. I literally just want to watch, and so, unless I invent a job doing that and somehow people want to pay to watch me watch baseball, I think I'll be here doing this. But, when I was younger, I wanted to be a lawyer. And by the time that I finished my bachelor's degree, I was like, I'm done with school. I'm not going to law school. And then I wanted to be a sports agent, see previous statement, because that involved going to law school. So then I thought about being a teacher. And that's actually what I liked about the NNA, was I got to be a teacher, but help people make money and start businesses. So it was like still a corporate job where I was making more money than a teacher did, but I was still doing the teaching and I was still helping people. So I kind of get that fulfillment. And that's why I'm so lucky, because not only do I get to run the training department and, plan the conference and oversee hotline, and also do like fun videos for social media and go travel the country and talk to notaries. So they let me have my hands in a lot of cookie jars, because I'm a very complex person. I like all these different things that are fun for me, and they let me kind of dabble in it all. So
sounds like it's your dream job.
Best job ever. And that is the motto that our CEO, Tom Hyman, says, is he wants it to be everyone's best job ever. And it is, That's why 55% of the employees at the NNA have worked there more than 10 years.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. What advice would you give, first, new notaries, and then second, what advice would you give seasoned notaries to be successful?
For the new notaries, I would say step out of your comfort zone and, listen to everybody, watch all the stuff. There's so much free information out there now. There's tons of people that are telling you how to do the job. Find the person that resonates with you, who you like what they're saying, and go do what they're saying, and follow it to a T, and, don't give up. And to the seasoned people, I would say surround yourself with other notaries who are doing it, because you need that community because like you can complain to someone about how business is going and how your business is going, but notaries are so unique. Like, we're a really weird little niche in the world, right? So when you are surrounded by a group of notaries and you're explaining the plight of like what you're doing, it's only notaries are going to really understand, like, oh, that must have been awful, in the same way of like, yeah, that must have been awful, So having those people to vent to, and also hear it's happening to other people, and then hearing their ideas and letting them lift you up of like, hey, it'll get better. Like, I know when I was doing this, here's what I tried to make things better. And it's just being around those like-minded people, not just in the business world, but in your business, that make the difference, I would say.
Yeah, great answer. And I know I have to touch on this last question. And I know how important it is to me to go to this event. But every year, the National Notary Association has a conference. And there's a lot to be said about different conferences. But why do you think the National Notary Association conference is one of these must-attend events for people that are serious about this notary industry?
One of the things that the NNA has done with the conference is we call it the place where the notary community meets. So all those people that you see online and everywhere from different facets are all in this one space in real life, and you can come talk to them. So, I just talked about being surrounded by those like-minded people. Well, this is where you meet them, because you're not necessarily, I mean, it's good to have notary people in your exact community, but talking to people all over the country to hear how things are going, learning new skills, even the notary skills, because things pick up and documents change and nuances happen, right? And learning what those up and coming ones are, but also like seeing the same people once a year and that it just gives you all the feels, right? So never mind the networking, that's amazing. We have the exhibit hall where people like industry leaders are going to come, and you get face-to-face time with title companies and signing services that you probably work for. Forget the amazing speakers that you've probably seen online, just like the people that are sitting around you and talking to them. I mean, I don't know. I met you at the first NNA, the first conference I remember you being at is 2006 when we were in Washington, D.C.
I actually met you at Bally's, but that was a huge conference.
Oh my God.
2003.
That one was 2005.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, there you go. I remember you being in 2006. But yeah, there was like 2,000 people at that one. Thankfully, they're not that big anymore. But it's just seeing like there's a certain group that you like see the same people that every year, and it's just such a good experience, and you have a good time. And we have the gala, so you get dressed up and have a nice dinner and watch an awards ceremony, and it's everybody's there like knows what the notary world's about, and we're just celebrating what everyone does, and you walk away just feeling like your tank is full, you're ready to go hit the streets again, you remember why you like doing this. So it just kind of like revs your engines back up.
Yeah, it is a life that those conferences are life-changing for me, just getting everything that you said and the camaraderie between your peers, and it just took my business to the next level, just going each and every year. So is there
and
any
you learn as much from the people in the audience, like
yes.
commentary to the speakers, as you do from the speakers. Like sometimes somebody will say something in a comment that will actually like trigger something in my brain of like, oh, I've been thinking about that. Here's my idea for that, based on like an offhanded comment that somebody made about something the speaker said. It's just like a think tank too. And you like, that's like one of those, not even supposed to be part of it, but it is. That's what's happening.
Yes. I get so much from like that outside poolside meetings that I have. Those are so great.
I wish I got to have poolside meetings, but yes, I can imagine as an attendee that would be amazing.
Yes, amazing. Just as amazing as the workshops. Is there anything else you want to just hit on or say, or last thoughts?
Just our conference for 2025 is at Green Valley Ranch in Henderson, Nevada, which is just outside Las Vegas. So it's not on the strip, but it's close enough. If you haven't been, come at least once just to see what the hype is about. And the early bird pricing ends at the end of February. So if you are thinking about it, that's the time to sign up before the price goes up. And don't forget that it is a, tax write-off, because you're investing in your business. And, definitely, have to go at least one time. And then if not, we'll see you in 2026.
Yeah, definitely go to the 2025 conference. It's going to be, I think looking at the schedule, it's one of the best conferences you guys ever put together. I don't know how you do it each and every year. I won't miss it as a professional. I won't miss it. So I'm so happy that we talked about it. So happy that I know your schedule is jam-packed, preparing for the conference and everything that you do. I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. This is going to be one of the best podcasts I've ever had. So I want to thank you again for coming. And if you like this podcast, like the content, make sure you like, share, subscribe. And we want to hear your comments. Put your comments in below. So thank you again, Nicola. And hopefully we can ask you to come again or interview at the conference.
Well, thank you for having me. And you can follow me on Notary Nicola on pretty much every social media platform.
Yes, great videos on Notary Nicola. Those videos are outstanding. So thanks again. And next week, you're going to really love it because we have another special guest. You're not going to believe this. Got to show up next week. See you next week. Thanks.